The 5 investing steps that can seriously change your entire future. Welcome back to SugarMamma's Fireplay. I am Canna Campbell. I'm a financial planner, I'm a long-term investor, and I am your personal financial guide on this beautiful journey towards financial independence and freedom. Now, today's episode is all about something that can seriously transform your life, your choices, and your future freedom. And that is starting your investing journey, simply, safely, and powerfully. Recently, I spoke on Channel 9's The Today Show about the massive shift happening amongst young, everyday Australians. They're stepping into investing early, they're doing this consistently, and they are investing with purpose and serious determination. This is not about chasing quick wins, but intentionally building that passive income via dividends so that they never have to rely on the government, a job, or a person. And honestly, it is incredible to witness, so inspiring. So today in this episode, I want to help you join this movement right now, no matter your age, your income, or your starting point, because it's never too early and it is absolutely never too late to start taking your financial future seriously. And by the way, I want you to hear this. Investing does not require wealth. Investing does not require you to be a genius. It only requires simple habits that are repeated consistently. That is it. And I want to actually begin with one of my favorite illustrations of why starting, even imperfectly if you like, matters more than anything. So let's turn back to 1993. If someone invested $1,000 upfront and then contributed $500 per month into a diversified Australian share portfolio, such as an ETF or a listed investment company, not following any hot stock tips, not trying to time the market, not being dramatic about this, just consistently investing and reinvesting all of their dividends. Today, that portfolio would be worth just over $775,000. And want to know this? Want to know what actually helped build that portfolio? Not luck, not a huge salary, and not perfect decisions. The answer is time, consistency, and compounding. This is the exact same energy behind my own $1,000 project, which is worth over $370,000 today. And let me share with you something personal. There were so many moments where I felt so incredibly tempted to spend just a little bit of those dividends that were paid to me, like as a reward for all the sacrifices that I had made and all the hard work that I've done. I deserve that. But every time I stopped, I caught myself and I decided not to do that, because deep down I knew that the second that I even spent $50 of that passive income, that dividend income, I would immediately regret it and I'd be so annoyed at myself, because what that means for me is I'm stealing from my future self, and that is not an act of self-love in my book. So instead, I reinvested every single dividend, and each tax time, when I would see the gross amount of dividends that I had earned and then compared it from the previous year, I got the most incredible dopamine hit, which was better than any quick purchase. It was really a proof that the system, the sacrifices, the dedication was really working for me and my future financial stability and independence. Proof that patience really does pay. Proof that my future self was actually getting stronger. And if you've been following me for a really long time, you'll know that the $1,000 project was very much linked to my own mental health at the time. So this is exactly what I want for you right now, because the biggest lesson in investing is this. You don't get wealthy by trying to time the market. You get wealthy by being in the market. Time is the biggest and best multiplier. And consistency, well, that's the equalizer. So let's get you started with some really simple, practical steps that you can follow immediately. So step number 1, open up an online share trading account. Look, you cannot start investing until you open an account. And thankfully, it's never been easier. You've got the traditional platforms like ComSec and NabTrade, and then you've got these amazing modern platforms like Moomoo and Perla and more. The $1,000 project is actually with CMC, which I will admit, looking to change soon. But if you are on a really tight budget at the moment, you can look for these fractional investing apps because they allow you to get started with literally as little as $5 or even $10. But here's the thing, and this is what you really need to know that truly matters. You've got to look for a platform that has really simple, effortless automation. So you can set up an automatic regular investing plan. Platform that allows you to automatically reinvest all of your dividends. So they're taking away that temptation. Also, I highly recommend you have chess sponsorship, so you own your shares directly. That is actually a non-negotiable for me. And of course, a platform that actually provides you with some brilliant educational tools, and it goes without saying, making sure that it's really easy to use. Don't overthink this part. Just choose one investing platform and begin. Step number 2. And that is to choose an exchange-traded fund, an ETF, or a listed investment company for instant diversification without the headache. So many people think investing means having to pick individual companies, like pick a supermarket, a transportation company, a pharmaceutical company. That is not what investing is about. In fact, for so many long-term investors, it shouldn't be about that. So instead, I highly recommend you focus on just ETFs and listed investment companies. Why? Well, they give you instant diversification. Your risk is then significantly lowered. You tend to get far smoother long-term returns and experiences, and it takes out all that emotional and sometimes paralyzing decision making. And look, you only need 1 or 2 core ETFs or listed investment companies to begin. I think I've got a maximum of 7 in the $1,000 project portfolio. But I want you to think of these ETFs or listed investment companies as the slow, steady, and reliable heroes, if you like, that are going to help build long-term wealth for you. Step number 3 is to automate your investing plan. All right, this is where the magic seriously happens. You need to choose an amount that you can safely afford after checking your budget. This could be weekly, fortnightly, or monthly, but you've got to just set it up to go automatically so that you don't think about it, it just happens. And I would even recommend having this done so that the money comes out shortly after payday, within a couple of days. And when you are investing, and you are investing in an automated way, you don't procrastinate, you never forget, and you don't find yourself trying to talk yourself out of not investing this month, and you of course sidestep all of those emotional decisions that sometimes can be such a huge hindrance. So what I recommend you do is you start small, but obviously the maximum that you can afford, and then you try and increase that regular investing plan the moment any opportunity presents itself, such as promotions and pay rises. And if you can, any little top-up opportunities that come your way, like bonuses or tax refunds, put it towards your investment portfolio. Buy some more ETFs or listed investment companies. Remember, consistency beats intensity. This is the exact same habit that turned $500 per month contributions into a $775,000 diversified Australian share portfolio, paying growing dividends every single year. Now, step number 4, and that is to reinvest your dividends. Your dividends is your passive income stream, and they are the secret weapon of building long-term financial independence and freedom. But they're only going to work for you, and they're only going to grow if you actually reinvest them. So it is essential. I'll be so cranky if you don't do this. You must tick the auto reinvest box when you are setting up your online trading account. And then that way, you're letting your dividends buy you more shares, more units, which then helps produce even more dividends, which then helps buy even more dividends and shares. This is exactly what compounding growth is in its purest form. And it is exactly how my $1,000 project grew year after year without me ever trying to outsmart the market. And yes, I think last financial year I earned over $16,000 worth of dividends, and every single dividend went back into that $1,000 project portfolio. And then finally, step 5, track your passive income growth and goals. This is something that people overlook all the time. And when I first started investing before I became a financial planner, I'm guilty of doing this myself. You see, your portfolio balance matters far less than your rising passive income. Let me say that again because this is so important. Your portfolio balance matters far less than your rising passive income. What I am simply saying is the value of your share portfolio, that is the balance, does not matter nearly as much as how much passive income your portfolio paid you in dividends. And that is because it is the passive income via dividends that is actually replacing your need to eventually work. Now, once you start monitoring this passive income, these dividends, and what this all adds up to during each financial year, every little bit, even if it's a tiny bit at first, you will feel so incredibly empowered. Trust me on that. Your dividends will actually become your scorecard of your own financial discipline. And you can ask yourself, how can I help this number grow? What can I do? How can I make this passive income stream get bigger and bigger year after year? How can I speed up the process safely and wisely? Because one day that number becomes your financial freedom number. So for me, that passive income of $16,000 a year from the $1,000 project portfolio will eventually become $200,000 a year. And that is when I will have complete and absolute financial freedom and independence. I don't have to work unless I want to. And that is so liberating. All right, now that I've shared with you the 5 steps to start building your share portfolio and financial freedom through dividends, let's go through the potential risks, where people go wrong. That is, the pitfalls or the things that could potentially slow you down or even mess your progress, because we don't want that happening this year. And by the way, before we begin, every investor, including myself, has been tempted by some of these at one point in time. All right, mistake number 1, and that is putting all of your money into one stock. Look, diversification protects you, and that is why ETFs and listed investment companies keep your strategy really simple and safe, because the diversification is instantly done the moment you buy an ETF or listed investment company. Mistake number 2 is chasing those high-risk, hype-driven investments. The penny stocks, the speculative crypto stocks, those hot tips that you get from random people at the time. Essentially, this is another form of gambling. It's not investing. So don't go and chase those quick, rich ideas. Mistake number 3, and that is being impatient. Most of the growth within your share portfolio happens after years. Quite often, it's not until year 7 that we really start to see that exponential growth kick off. I will admit, it's slow. It's sometimes really boring and dull until it suddenly gets hot and you actually see a massive kickoff in all of those dividends being reinvested and that regular investment plan working for you. So trust me on that. You've got to be patient. Think of your long-term passive income goal. Mistake number 4, and that is spending your dividends. All right, I've already explained my story with this, but you've just got to reinvest them until you are ready to pull up stumps and live off your passive income. And ideally, that's at a stage where your passive income allows you to afford to work part-time or retire completely if you like, but on the standards that you dictate. So in the meantime, just reinvest everything. You won't regret it. Mistake number 5, and that is never increasing your contributions. As your income rises, which it will naturally over time, your regular investment plan should also rise with it. Please make sure you avoid the lifestyle creep. Stop letting those pay rises get swallowed up. Every time there's a change or an improvement in your situation, it might be a pay rise, but it also might be a change in your living expenses. Perhaps you've managed to cancel a subscription. Make sure you increase that automated regular investment plan immediately. Mistake number 6, and that is investing whilst you still have toxic debt. Okay, I get it. You're inspired, you are motivated, you are ready to get started. But if you still have toxic debt like credit cards, buy now, pay later, payday loans, car loans, you've got to pay them off first. Clear the deck and then start afresh. And then finally, mistake number 7, and that is not having emergency money. Okay, this is really important because I see a lot of people taking on this risk without actually realizing it. Your investments are not your safety net. Cash is your buffer. Cash is your emergency money. And it is that emergency money that prevents you from ever having to sell, or even worse, having to sell at the worst time possible. Now, if you can avoid these 7 traps, I promise you, your wealth building journey becomes this beautiful, steady, and sustainable adventure. You learn so much along the way, and you are seriously unrecognizable when you look back as to how far you've come and what you've learned along the way. So this is what I want you to take from today's episode. Investing is not about how much money you've actually got. It's actually really about your habits at the end of the day. Good habits build wealth. Lifestyle creep completely destroys it. And consistency will multiply your wealth. And ultimately, your passive income is the goal. Your passive income through growing dividends. Passive income is going to give you that freedom. Passive income is going to be the cushion, the confidence, and the independence that you deserve, and I have faith in you to be able to build today. So I want you to imagine your future self in, say, 10, 20, 30 years from now, sitting in a life that feels calm, feels secure, stable, spacious, abundant, because guess what? You've just started building it today by starting to invest. You've automated everything, you've set up the reinvestment plans, you're staying patient, and you chose not to chase those shiny little objects that previously used to distract you. You chose consistency over perfection. And one day you'll look back at your investments and say, thank you. I am financially free because of the habits that I built many, many years ago after listening to this podcast episode. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know if you like this episode and if you want more like this. And of course, don't forget, it is the small steps that create a big future. Say it again. Small steps, big future. Because this is exactly how wealth, true, authentic wealth, is really built.